At 50, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And did chemo and the whole thing. And I remember praying, Lord, just let me live long enough to see them married.
Welcome to the Legacy and Light podcast, where we are creating a culture of community by sharing stories of what God has done. I'm really excited for today's episode. We have Jo Beth Gilliam on the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
So, if you could just tell us a little bit about you and where would we see you around the church right now?
Well, you'd mainly see me I teach a senior adult class. I sing in the choir. I'm on the steering committee at the Southcrest School, and that's probably where you'd see me most of the places right now.
Awesome. What is the steering committee?
It's where we go and ask for money.
Okay. It's a lovely word. I love that.
That's the bottom line. I'm sure you could dress that up a little bit, but that's the bottom line.
I understand. You said that earlier, and I was like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah. And it is. I mean, that's what we do for donors. And
Okay.
things, so.
Like businesses and people that want to sponsor and stuff like that.
That's right.
Cool. Tell me about when do you remember accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior? What's your earliest thought of that?
When I was 15.
Okay.
My parents were Christians. I mean, I knew about Jesus already, but when I was growing up, we didn't have youth groups. We had Sunday school and we had church. That was it. And so, and Sunday schools were, they had all the way from bed babies all the way up to 12th grade. And you went into that class. I mean, if you were in the 10th grade at school, you went into the 10th Sunday school class. So it was at Calvary Baptist Church here in Lubbock. And they were located at that time across from Lubbock High School, which is now there on 82nd Street. And so they had a pastor. I do not remember his name. He was a young pastor that came one Sunday morning and had just the youth part. Went into the worship center, and he spoke to them. And so it would have been like what we say now, middle school, high school. Those were ones in the worship center that morning. And I just remember very well. I don't remember what all he was talking about. All I remember that he said, and by the way, I mean, I was in the middle. I mean, we were all of us rode up and everything, and I was right dead center in the middle of everybody on each side. I remember him saying, if you believe that Jesus is who he said he was, would you commit your life to him? And I want you to know I was up out of that pew just like that. And of course, we were singing too, and everybody was having to move and scoot back. And I can remember my legs were walking and my mind was saying, wait a minute, let's think about this. Wait a minute, let's think about this. And I mean, I was moving down that aisle. And so that's when I gave my life to Jesus. And then I was baptized. That was on a Sunday morning. Back then we had Sunday school at 9:30 and church was at 11. That's it. So a week after that, I think it was about a week after that, I was baptized on a Sunday night. Yeah. I was so excited. I was just elated.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you said, okay, 15. What school did you say you went to?
I was going to Lubbock High.
Lubbock High. I went to Lubbock High.
Did you? Imagine that.
Fun. Go Westerners.
I went to Lubbock High way before you did.
It's a beautiful school.
It is. In fact, when I was going to Lubbock High, they were just building Monterey.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ended up being pretty rival.
Yeah. Very much.
We won the Spurs my senior year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For the first time in like 62 years.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Quite literally.
We never won the Spurs.
We weren't even paying attention. We were in the band, and they're like, all right, we're winning. We're like, what do you mean we're winning? And then we had to play the fight song. I was like, oh, my goodness, we won.
Yeah. Well, my high school bunch, all of us were all started to school together. We were sophomores. We all started to school together while they were building Monterey. So when they had divided the school districts, a lot of my friends went to Monterey, and then some of us stayed at Lubbock High. So we always shared reunions together and everything else because we all started school together. But
Yeah.
it was like 600
Whoa.
in that senior class, the combined classes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
I thought that I had
kids.
a lot.
Now you know why they had to build Monterey.
For sure.
Yeah.
Man, that's so cool. So after 15, so walk me through the next few years of your life after maybe like graduating high school.
Mhm.
What happens then?
I married my high school sweetheart. We were married 61 years, and he sat in front of me in the third grade. Lived about a half a block from me. And so after we graduated from high school, we were the same age, and we both graduated from high school, and he went into the Air Force. And so when he went into the Air Force, I think it was around the 1st of June, we were married that November. He called and he said, I cannot live in this barracks with guys any longer. He said, let's get married because we were already engaged. And so we spent our early married life in the Air Force. And then we moved back to Lubbock and got a job. And while we were in the Air Force, I had our son, Kobe. And how far do you want me to go? You do know that I have 85 chapters in my book.
Let's go.
We don't have time for all of it. But it was just life. It's just like all you young moms now. I had him and went to school.
You were going to school with a small child?
No, I wasn't going. No, I wasn't going
okay.
to school. But I'm saying he was going to school.
Okay, I
when
understand.
Kobe was going to school and everything. And so, I decided I went to beauty school. That's back then they called it beauty school. Mm-hmm. And then it was a hairdresser. Now it's hairstylist. And then I started dabbling in art. And so, but during that period of time, I was caretaker for my father-in-law and my mother and my dad. And it was just live. It was a lot of people. It was just live. Yeah. What
were some struggles that maybe like taking care of all of those people? Because I feel like that feels like weighty.
It was. I had a brother and 2 sisters. My mother and dad were 40 when she had me. So my brother was 20 and I had a sister 17 and one 13. So by the time I was 3, I was raised like an only child. Mm. And so, because they were married and out of the house.
Wow.
So
that's quite a gap.
It is a long gap, yes. But as far as taking care of my mom and dad and my father-in-law too, I look back on it now and it seemed like a long time then, but it just passed very quickly. And I was blessed so many times by them. So, and it was a struggle off and on because I was balancing Kobe at school and Coy at work and parents and trying to, make sure all the lights worked and
yeah,
and all that kind of stuff. So,
man,
yeah,
I can't imagine because I feel like there was a lot of pressure on housewives back then.
Well, there was. My mother never did drive.
Oh, wow.
And so we did public transportation. My dad drove a truck. He had his own truck that he leased out to different things. And so he was gone quite a bit when I was growing up. And so my mom and I used public transportation a lot. Mm-hmm. And but it was when I look back on it, it was a great time.
How was your faith going through all of that? Were you just like, whatever happens, happens, I trust in Jesus? Or were there some...
It was just, it was like a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. We were in church some of the times we weren't in church as faithfully in church because of whatever. But it was just kind of a roller coaster deal. And when I look back on so many things in my lifetime, I didn't step out and do a lot of things that I did, but God sent people into my life that directed the path. I would have probably never done. I would have never been into the art world for sure if it hadn't been for Him. And He just kept putting people in my path for me to step out and say, "Okay, I guess this is what I'm going to have to do."
What kind of art do you like?
Oh, watercolor.
Watercolor?
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
You still do it?
Oh, heavens, yes. I've been teaching watercolor for 40 years,
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
and it was all his hand. I say I. He's been teaching watercolor through me for 40 years. Let's put it that way.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
All right. So after your young adult life, Kobe's growing up a little bit. Like, what's happening now?
Like I say, I have 85 chapters. Of course, Kobe's grown up, and if you're talking about when he's married, he had 3 kids and my grandkids. And
did he stay in the area? Were you able to?
Yes, he did stay in the area. He's still here. Yes.
So y'all entered grandparent life.
Yes, loved it. Absolutely loved it. Just having one son, and he and Lynn had my 2 granddaughters and a grandson. And those girls that were born, it was like, oh, boy, we got girls. And then Case came along and said, oh, boy, we got a boy, too.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Man.
And I had breast cancer during that time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When your grandchildren were little?
Mm-hmm.
So walk me through that.
At 50, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Mm-hmm. And did chemo and the whole thing. And I remember praying, Lord, just let me live long enough to see them married. I just prayed that, Lord, just let me see them married, just see them raised. And He's blessed me over and over again because He let me see them married and have children. So I've got 8 great grandchildren. So that's just awesome. Wow.
So how is that your health right now with that? Is it at bay or?
Depends on the day.
Okay. Yeah.
It can be great or it's not so great. One of the other. Yeah, I'm good.
Mm-hmm. So with your diagnosis and after that, did anything change for you with how you lived life or what your outlook was?
I think it brought all of us closer to the Lord to begin with. And not that we weren't close already, but you just have to depend on Him every day for things, every day. And it's one of those things that it's always in the back of your mind. And, Satan loves to poke that bear. And so you have to say, we're not going there. I'm living on promises. So that's kind of the way it was all that time, because it's been 35 years ago.
You seem to have a really positive spirit, just being optimistic. Is that in your nature, do you think?
Yeah.
Have you always been that way?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
I wish I had.
Yeah.
I need more of that.
Yeah. Well, when you get right down to it, is not our Lord positive? Just be positive. I try to be positive. No, I think you can. I think you can turn anything into a negative if you dwell on it long enough. But if you just turn that life around and you think about the blessings that you've had, when you look back on your life, the things that has happened in your life, and at the time you don't know it's from the Lord. Then when you look back and you think, I see your hand on this. What an encouragement is that?
I love that. I think that's wonderful because truly that's applied to everything.
It is.
As you're going through it, knowing that, okay, in a few years or so, I'm going to look back and I'm going to know that,
In May, it'll be 6 years since Coy passed away. And so I've been a widow for almost 6 years. And that was the first time I'd ever lived alone by myself. Because I went from my parents' house when I got married. And he was always there. Of course, we dated all through high school. Somebody asked Coy one time, said, how long have y'all been married? He said, all my life. But it was hard. It was really hard to be by myself. And so and it's not so much to be by myself, it's just like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to function. And I can remember just one day just saying, Lord, I can't do this. I just can't do this. Being alone and having all the responsibility. And all of a sudden, I just felt like just a peace just came over me. And just like the Holy Spirit just said, no, you can't do this, but I can. And that just kind of calmed the waters. It just began to kind of calm the waters.
So when Coy passed away, did you reach out for more community? after that? Or did it take a minute to kind of
mm.
get back in?
No, it didn't take me. I didn't reach out. I just continued. I continued teaching watercolor. I continued my responsibilities at church. I continued with everything because I knew that's what the Lord wanted me to do, but I also knew that that's what He would wanted me to continue also. And you have to do that for your family too. I mean, when you withdraw and you bring everything back in, it puts a burden, I think, sometimes on family members. And so therefore you kind of have to be strong with that. You have to step up to the plate, whether you want to or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I remember watching my Nana walk through that part of her life. And just, she was retired at that point and just trying to be like, okay, we got to stay with people. keep coming with us and hanging out with us, because I can see how easy it is to try to recluse a little bit because you're sad. You don't really.
Yeah.
Right now, what would you say that God is teaching you in your life?
I have to think about that a minute because He's teaching me all the time. And if I had to just focus on one thing, I think He's teaching me to be content. We're having a struggle right now in our family with Clayton Walker with his cancer issues. And I say it's a struggle. We're all depending on the Lord for all of the answers. But there's just times when you have to be content with it. Mm. I think that goes along with being patient. Mm-hmm. You have to be patient and content with whatever God has for us. And that's hard to do sometimes. Because I think especially women, I think we want to fix things. We want to,
we have the ideas.
Yeah, no. Let's get that needle and thread out and get all this taken care of. Let's get this button sewed on, let's get this thing taken care of. Anyway, being content.
Yeah. I go to counseling, and I love my counselor. She's wonderful. She says, she puts it in the terms of, we want heaven now. We want where we are now to be heaven. Mm-hmm. And so when we're constantly discontent with the things that are happening, it's because we yearn for that heaven.
Right.
And I think that it's good for us to yearn for it, but it's also good for us to realize that it's not now.
No, it's not now.
And that's really difficult. Man, I honestly had forgotten that y'all were related to Clayton and that.
He's married my granddaughter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How is he doing?
He is going to he's having a port put in today.
Okay.
Markers were up. And so therefore they're going to start some different chemo probably next week.
We continue to pray for him.
Yeah, thank you.
And that whole family, y'all.
Yeah,
y'all's
we
whole
appreciate
family.
it very much because, I mean, God has done, He has worked through that it's just amazing what He's done.
Yeah. Is he still preaching while going through all of this?
Every Sunday.
Wow.
2 to 3. I mean, I think they've
got a lot of
2 or 3 services on Sunday.
Wow. So you're very involved.
Yeah, yes.
With lots of different things.
Yes, I am.
Have you always been super involved, like from little kid up, with volunteering and just being
pretty much
in the church?
Pretty much. And it's just not church, it's other activities outside the church.
Mm-hmm.
Being raised like an only child, I was very strong-willed and independent. But yeah, I've always volunteered. In fact, I was thinking about us with the podcast and the questions you were going to ask, and I began to kind of review my mind. What all have I been involved in? Mm-hmm. And then I just remembered. Did you know that I'm a lifetime member of the PTA?
They have lifetime members?
They did back then. Yeah, I'm a lifetime member of the PTA. Is that not hysterical?
That's pretty
great.
And
I thought about that, and I began to think about all the things that I've volunteered with. At first one thing, and then another, and it's just, it's like, I just step out. I think sometimes it's not so much that I wanted to do that, but it's like we need a volunteer to do something. And everybody just says anything. Well, nobody's going to do it. I guess I will.
That's pretty great. How do you have so much energy for all of those things?
Oh, listen,
like throughout your life.
That has to do with God. That is a God thing to do, Lex. I mean, but I've just always had a lot of energy, and and just been involved with a lot of things, even with our art,
Mm-hmm.
our watercolor society and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know. I just like to keep busy for one thing.
Sure.
I'm not much one to sit.
I love that.
Yeah.
You're very interesting. You came on here saying, I don't know what I'm going to talk about.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
You've done everything.
I mean, getting into art, that's something I never planned to do.
Yeah.
Ever. I never got up one morning and thought I'd paint. When Kobe got into school, when he started school, I just began to dabble with toll painting, and I took some oil painting classes, and then I got into watercolor. And I had the Guardian Arts Center, which is still over there on University. The director there, she asked me one day, she said, Jo Beth, she said, I've been asked by several people, would you teach a watercolor class? And I said, no way. I am not doing that. I said, I am not a teacher. I am not a teacher. I wasn't teaching Sunday school then. I wasn't teaching anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a teacher. So she kind of let that ride for about 3 months. And she came back again. She said, Jo Beth, there's several that would really like you. You've got your own technique and way of painting. And she said, well, we've got several that want to take your classes or to start a class. And I said, no. I said, I am not a teacher. No. And I was just so emphatic about it. Well, about the third or fourth time, I thought the only way I can do this to prove her wrong, I'm going to have to shut her up and do a class. Let's just jump in there. So I said, okay, we'll set up a 6-week class. And we did. And it was successful. And from that point on, it was just, and like I say, I never intended to do that, but that was a God thing.
Man.
Because through that, I've been able to share him. I've shared not only with him, I've prayed with some students, and I've taught in New Mexico, and I've taught classes down in Texas. I've taught in Colorado. I mean,
wow.
And so I've been able to share that. In fact, in Colorado, I taught a workshop in Colorado years ago. It's been probably 30 years ago or 25, whatever. And so while I'm teaching this class where the conversation gets around to church, and of course, and I said something, I made the statement, I'm helping a student, I made the statement, I said something about, I go to church on Wednesday night, and this lady turned around, she said, you must be a Baptist.
Because of Wednesday
night? It was
nights?
kind of like, well, yeah, I guess I am. I thought that was such a strange comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do other denominations not do Wednesday night church?
See, that was me. I thought, well, do you not go on Wednesday night like the rest of us? I mean,
that is pretty funny. Now, I'll say I grew up in a church that we did Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
And so not having a Sunday night here,
yeah,
I don't know why. We're doing all kinds of other stuff on all the other nights, so I'm not saying let's add something, but I just remember going, I thought that was a thing. I thought that's what we did.
Oh, that's what everybody did. I mean, but
so when did y'all start coming to Southcrest?
We joined Southcrest. Let me think a minute. About a year before we built this building, moved over here.
Oh wow!
So we've been here all that time.
Yeah.
See,
I've seen it all.
Yeah, my son was a deacon here until he went with Dusty over to Redeemer. He and Lynn. And all three of my grandkids went through the youth group here.
Mm-hmm.
I taught in the youth group. I taught 9th grade girls.
Wow. 9th grade girls.
Yeah. My daughter-in-law and I, we team taught 9th grade girls for about 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
So the whole, I guess watching Pastor David with the Greater Fund and everything and him talking through all of that, how does that make you feel being able to see what God's done from the very beginning with this building?
Oh, it's just amazing. I mean, there's no doubt about it. His hand is on this church. When I think about it, as long as we've been here, you pretty well knew everybody in church.
Mm-hmm.
And now, from the choir, when I sit out from the choir and look out, it's like, oh, Lord, what a blessing. What a blessing. And I'll tell you another blessing. Another blessing is when we go, I've been in the ladies' ministry on their team almost ever since I've been here. I was a coordinator for 3 years early on when we started the holiday celebration. And it just blesses me over and over and over again when I look out and see young women like yourself and all these young moms that are bringing their kids and they're taking on volunteer work or bringing their kids and helping with kids and everything. And all these young moms, it is such a blessing.
I love that.
I do too. I just love it. Whether I know their names or not, when I see them in the hallways on Wednesday night meals and all those cute kids going to Awanas and moms and dads and everything, and you think, I do not know your name, but I am so thankful you're here.
Man, I think that's really encouraging.
Yeah.
I think we, from a mother's perspective with young children right now, sometimes it feels tough bringing them to everything and corralling and making sure they're not in people's way or things like that. Sometimes I get stressed out a little bit. So seeing that someone else sees the blessings, that I think that just encourages me of like, they are a blessing. They're not a burden.
It is a blessing. It's just, and I love to see young women taking a part of ladies ministry and everything and being a part of that.
Yeah.
That's a blessing to everybody.
That's one of the reasons that I wanted to start this podcast was to kind of bridge some of the generational gaps that it feels like, because we're all like in our own sections and our own ministries, but being able to come together as women of all ages and what we've all been through and talk to each other and get to know each other, because it is a pretty big church.
It is a very big church.
We just quite literally do not have the time to sit down with all 2,500 women and have an hour interview, but if we can do anything to help bring it closer together and be encouraged from the things that you've said or things that other people have said, I think that's my goal.
Yeah,
to bring that.
I think it's great, and I think it's going to help maybe motivate other women that are maybe a little bit reluctant about joining in, to encourage them to, hey, I can do that too. I guarantee you, anybody can do anything. If the Lord can put a paintbrush in my hand, I guarantee you they can do anything. Because that was never on my plate. Never. I mean, I've done things that were never on my plate, and I don't know it was from Him.
Yeah,
it was His direction. I was stubborn a lot of times, and it's like, yeah, we're going to do this. I mean, you can either do it now or later, but we are going to do this.
I love that. You still teach now?
Oh, yeah.
You still teach at the Garden and Art Center?
No.
Okay.
I teach in my studio.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, ever since COVID.
Okay.
I haven't traveled that much ever since COVID. Everything kind of shut down, and everything's trying to kind of get back to a normalcy, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So, how could people get a hold of you if they were interested in?
Well, they know my name.
Watercolor. They do? They do?
You could probably Google me.
Okay.
No, you can, I mean, hey, I'm...
Maybe so?
Yeah.
If you had any piece of encouragement for women that are watching this right now, what would you say to them?
I think the main thing is I would encourage women to stay plugged into something, whether it's a life group, the ladies' ministry, even a friend that you've got that's a Christian. You have to keep those relationships vibrant and growing. I would like to see more women that would come to our events and everything that we have, because we have some great events. The one we just had was awesome. And I would like to see more women, even my age. I would like to encourage senior women to be more involved with stuff. I know that a lot of times senior women don't feel like they have value. After they've kind of gone through that, they don't feel like they have the value. Or, of course, and I know health issues are also a major thing. But a lot of them don't think that they have a value or they can contribute anything. But until you write that last chapter, or the Lord writes that last chapter, you're contributing something, good or bad.
Yeah.
Until that last chapter is written.
I would say that they are desperately needed.
Oh, yeah.
There's just not like the relationship from grandparents or great-grandparents to younger women, like it's just not the same. And so a lot of us don't have something like that.
Right.
Like I'm very grateful to have my Nana. There's so many people that don't have elder women in their lives, and it's so important.
I can tell you this. I'm 85, And I can tell you this. There's not a week that doesn't go by that I think to myself, I wish I had to ask my mother that. I wish I had to ask her. I mean, I knew a lot about her life. She was a preacher's kid. I knew a lot of the things that she did and everything. Her and my dad both, my brothers and sisters. But there's just things that crop up lots of times, and I think, or she would tell me something. I wish I had to ask her more about that, a little bit more depth about that.
Yeah.
But we just get busy with our lives and everything. So,
well, I thank you so much.
You're certainly welcome
For being on the podcast.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And I just appreciate it. And you always dress so beautiful. I just wanted to let you know that I told Faith before, I was like, y'all, she's gonna bring it with style. So love it so much.
Yeah. I think that has a part to do with that, just kind of that artist part of me. That just, those colors don't look good together.
I should learn. I want to learn some of those things. I want to take some watercolor classes so I learn what colors go.
You need to go back in the closet. I'm sure you've got something that'll look better than that. I'm not talking about you personally.
No, I totally get it. But that's great. Thank you.
You're certainly welcome. And it was just a pleasure to even get to know you better, too. All right.
Thanks. All right. We'll see y'all next time.